Hello and welcome to our podcast, The Pet Biz Project, the show which helps pet brands, marketers, business leaders and entrepreneurs to build more meaningful relationships with and sell more effectively to one of Australia's fastest growing consumer groups, pet parents. Each fortnight we chat with a marketing specialist, pet brand, or simply hop on ourselves to share with you invaluable insights and inspiration on how to grow your business and more effectively connect with this influential consumer. Thank you for joining us. Well, welcome, Erin. It's great to have you here. It's nice. I'm used to interviewing other people, but it's nice to be actually chatting to my business partner,
I know.
co-founder of Pet Biz Creatives. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Well, I hope you're not going to grill me. I hope it'll be more of a just a chat rather than...
No, because if I do that, you'll get me back is the problem.
Very true. Yeah. Absolutely.
Cool. All right. So today we're talking about building meaningful relationships with pet parents. So we want to, I suppose, just take this time to have a chat and unpack it a little bit with you and give you our sort of thoughts and views on what it means to build meaningful relationships with pet parents. So I really want to kick it off, Erin, by talking, I suppose, about why we think it's such an important aspect in nurturing and building those meaningful relationships with pet parents, why that's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose first and foremost, it's one of the primary ways that you're going to actually be able to establish customer loyalty. One part of our research project that we've been conducting is that 35% of pet parents feel pressured to purchase too quickly. And having that, I suppose, that pressure and that expectation that you're going to be able to draw in customers and immediately convert them, it's not necessarily realistic. So through building and nurturing that meaningful relationship, it means that you're not kind of constantly fighting against the tide to be making sale after sale. You're actually building in that customer loyalty and ensuring that it is a long-standing relationship. It's not something that they kind of come and they disappear. It's something that is ultimately going to help to sustain your business now into the future too.
Yep, definitely. And it's going to increase those sales as well, isn't it? With, when you build those long-term relationships or you build those deeper relationships, it means that people don't just flit in, buy something and run away sort of thing and move on to the next brand, do they? They tend to stick around and engage with your business on a completely different level, don't they? Because they're not just looking for your email inbox. They're not looking for that next promotion. They love those things, but they're also looking for, that next email, because I know I'm going to get some great top tips on how I can have more fun with my dog or how I can get out and do hikes and, explore more and things like that. So they're looking for other things when they engage with your brand other than just the sales, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when it comes to pet parents, the thing to realize is that it's already a highly emotive relationship they have with their pet. So the kind of relationship that you're establishing with this customer base is going to be completely different to, say, for example, I don't know, like the fashion industry or, the sportswear industry, anything like that. That's a completely different relationship than what pet businesses have with pet parents. Because like I say, it's already such a highly emotive relationship that your pet parent audience are essentially going to have different expectations from you as a pet brand. They may be looking for a solution like your product or service. They're turning to that to be like, I've got this need or this want, and I think that can solve it. But they actually need much more than that from you in order to feel kind of confident and comfortable in actually, kind of making that purchase or, becoming one of those loyal customers who helps things like spread word of mouth and, kind of recommend you to other people at the dog park or, when they're chatting in the vet's room, and because there is this expectation and I suppose this requirement from pet brands to be providing more than just here's my product or service. You need to be thinking about what essentially they're looking for is, and that's the only way that you're going to essentially be standing out from the pet businesses that are in existence, that have just popped up over lockdown because they're like, oh, great, I've seen a boom in pet ownership. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an e-commerce store. It's just like, and like half the time, like these people don't even have pets themselves. They don't have that experience. They don't know what the kind of relationship is like between a pet and a pet parent. Whereas you do have that experience. You do have that knowledge. You do know kind of like the fears, the struggles, the memories, the fun that pet parents and pets do actually share together. So I think it's about really, I suppose, honoring that, recognizing it and honoring the importance of the relationship, and not viewing pet parents as something that is like a means to an end and like you're just going to have a transactional relationship. It's about enriching it and, providing that value, which we'll go into in a little more detail shortly.
Yeah, I think it's, a lot of pet businesses that I personally have spoken to, they might be approaching their business in terms of like an e-commerce strategy, and they're thinking about it from just a standard marketing approach that, okay, well, this works well for other e-commerce stores. So surely if I just follow this same strategy, I'll get similar results. But like you were saying, it's not the same, is it? Because it's very different selling handbags to a consumer rather than selling a product that's to a pet parent, because of that emotional aspect. It's almost like selling to mums or dads, isn't it? Because there's that whole nother level to how they engage with the brand. It's not just a consumer level of, okay, I like it, I want it, I'll get it sort of thing. It's more I like it, I want it, but I need to check that my pet's going to like it too, to make sure that it's going to benefit their health and well-being, and it's going to keep them safe, and it's going to, last a long time because my dog gets out in the water or gets in the mud lots and stuff. So there's a whole nother level to the purchasing journey and the purchasing decision, isn't there, compared to just your typical sort of consumer products?
Yeah, I think it's something that I've said to you in the past is like, I find it so interesting that for myself personally, it's kind of that attitude of like, I'll see something online and I'll be like, oh, pretty. And, it's just like a kind of
shiny
like
object syndrome.
Shiny object syndrome, a bit of a magpie. And I'll be like, oh yeah, I like it. I want it, and so I'll just purchase it. But when it comes to my own dogs, my own cats, like even the tortoises, you do interrogate that whole relationship and the claims that the pet brand is making. You're going to be looking at reviews, you're going to be looking at the About Us page, you're going to be really scoping out this pet brand to essentially be like, are they legit, are they authentic, or are they literally out just to make a quick buck? And I think that's really why kind of what we wanted to discuss this today, because we do really believe that there has to be a shift in the mentality of especially e-commerce pet businesses. Like, you can't just expect to put your product up and just get loads of like conversions, because there is, like you say, this entire other level that you have to be kind of aware of
relationship building.
Yeah. And it's just like, I am so much more likely to really kind of go to town on like, like, to put it bluntly, like tearing a pet brand apart until I feel like they're actually going to be giving me a product that I can trust, like it's not going to, like, I don't know if it's made of plastic that my dogs are going to swallow and choke on, or it's not kind of harmful to the environment, because, that kind of, that movement towards responsible pet ownership too is really becoming prominent in this industry. So I suppose, the kind of key takeaway there is just like, there's just such a heightened awareness with pet parents. So you can't really pull the wool over their eyes in that regard. And you can't, do things half-heartedly. You have to put that work in to be kind of establishing the foundations of that relationship from the get-go, essentially.
Yeah. And I think, 60% of pet parents are telling us that they feel that, like they're being stereotyped or pigeonholed. So it's just, again, that kind of feedback just really emphasizes the fact that it's not about just having one conversation with one person. You're almost, through your marketing efforts, it's a way of connecting with lots of different pet parents with different problems and solutions. It's not just one thing, it's that's where that personalization comes into the journey, and building that nurturing, that you do understand them and you understand they're unique and that their pet isn't the same as every other pet out there, that they all have their own quirks and they all have their own needs and they're all different shapes and sizes, and they they have different issues or challenges and things like that. So I think that's that understanding that there's that whole other emotional level to the purchasing decision than just the product itself. Cool. So one thing I wanted to ask you was, okay, we've talked about why we think it's so important to nurture and build those relationships with pet parents, but how do you actually go about doing it? How does that translate to what you do in your business to build those meaningful relationships?
It's kind of the golden question, isn't it? Because it's all good and well being like, you need to do this, guys. And then to be actually like, this is actually how you go about doing it. So I think one of the most important steps you can really take is, taking the time to get to actually know your pet parent audience. And not make generalizations or assumptions about them is going to be so significant, especially because, as we've been talking about, there are so specific needs and wants from your pet parents. And when we're talking about pet parents, even that's a generalization. There's going to be like niches of pet parents that you can talk to in different ways. Like, for example, there's a difference between a pet parent who's just adopted a kitten versus a pet parent who has a senior cat. There's different problems, different desires, different wants. They think about their pet in a different way. They have a different kind of relationship with their pet. They're looking for different solutions to maybe some of the problems. So the only way you're really going to be able to understand the pet parent on that kind of deeper level is through doing your homework and doing some like research. So some ways you can do that is, if you have an established audience, this is a really good way, is just to poll and survey them. So, kind of get like, the word from the horse's mouth or whatever the saying is, like capturing that language, like, again, because especially if you do come from like a kind of a business background or like, kind of marketing understanding, we all have a tendency to like overcomplicate the language, where sometimes we just really need to take it back to basics and to really like kind of tap into that raw emotion by using that simple and straight to the point language that pet parents are likely to use. So I think, survey, poll them, actively ask them. And if you don't have an established audience, what I would then recommend is maybe looking at businesses that are kind of similar to yours, or you have a kind of like overlap of your particular niche of pet parent, and look at the kind of content that they're maybe engaging the most with on those other accounts. Do some like social media stalking and just see what is really, kind of like I say, eliciting like a response and something that they're excited or, kind of interested to engage with. Again, kind of the comment section is your friend. Think less about what the other pet brand is saying and more about what the pet parents are saying in the comments. And I think other ideas are, you can visit kind of chat rooms and forums. There's things like Reddit or Quora as well. They're kind of forums, and they have kind of like chat rooms and things like that. And there again, you can really kind of get deeper into what kind of questions pet parents are asking. So there's so much information and so much gold on the internet that, especially with pet parents, we're just so happy to talk about our pets online. So it's like an amazing opportunity. And I think just spend some dedicated time to, first and foremost, doing that research to establish that understanding.
Yeah, I think a really good example of that is like my dog Ash. She's a Labrador, and she's got allergies, to like pollen and things like that out in the grass and plants. And just understanding her needs and solutions to her problem and stuff. The best way I was able to really get my head around what we needed to do and how we needed to do it was getting into Facebook groups that are specifically about allergies for dogs. And I think, you can do that in terms of your content marketing strategy as well with your own business, is that if you don't have pets yourself or you're not experiencing a particular problem yourself, is get into those groups that are about a particular topic. And that's where you can really understand the language that pet parents are using to express the pain and anxiety or that they're experiencing around the problem that they're trying to find solutions for. It would be, the amount of content ideas you can come up with just scrolling through those Facebook groups, because you notice how much people go off on tangents. Like they'll be talking about one topic and then it goes off onto, and I'm also feeding my dog this and it's not agreeing with it. And so, So I think, Facebook groups, aside from stalking individuals or stalking your audience on Facebook and things like that, is those Facebook groups, the private groups are, never lose that trust with people that, that you're stealing information or sharing private thoughts and feelings, but it just gives you a real insight into how pet parents are feeling and thinking. So I think that helps as well. Now I know we've got a great blog on our website in case anybody wants to download it, and I'll put it in the show notes as well. But there's 4 key areas, aren't there, around the types of value that you can deliver to your audience in terms of content. Can you tell us what they are?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think anybody who's chatted to us know we're all about being value driven as a pet brand. That's kind of like almost like our motto, because this is again kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier. This is like a way that you are going to be able to build that trust and that kind of likability factor and help you to stand out from other pet businesses. Like when your newsletter lands in their inbox, they're immediately going to have that association like, yes, this pet brand not only gets me, but they're also actively giving me value in a variety of ways. And so the 4 categories that typically you can tap into, and you don't need to necessarily stick with one type of value, you can like mix and match, and you can, kind of explore what best resonates with your own audience. But the 4 categories are functional, financial, psychological, and social. So I'll just give a very kind of brief overview of what each is. So functional is, I hope, quite self-explanatory in that it provides a function, like it answers a question, it provides a solution. It is one of the most powerful forms of value that you can actually be providing your audience, especially because if they are in that kind of that time poor mentality, they kind of want solutions and they want answers now. So it's kind of like that instant gratification feeling with functional value. And then you have financial, which again, I hope kind of like has the obvious benefits of, providing them with financial rewards. So that could be an offer, a deal, kind of like a prize draw, like a freebie. So that's very much kind of monetary, to your audience, you're giving them some kind of like financial value. And then there's a kind of psychological and social, which are a bit less, the value, I suppose, with your audience might feel like less immediately apparent. But, they can be equally as powerful, if not more so, than things like functional and financial value. So, for example, psychological value is really about helping your pet parent audience to feel seen, heard, and understood. And then social, kind of in alignment with that, is giving pet parents the opportunity to feel part of a community and connected with both your brand and other pet parents who, as we were saying, kind of like might be experiencing similar issues. So those are the 4 main categories. And it really, by providing this value, it hits something that I like to call the 3 R's. And it makes sure that basically everything that you're conveying to your audience through, if it's like an email newsletter, if it's a blog, if it's social media posts, whatever and wherever, it's that the 3 R's is that the value is relevant for the pet parent, it's relatable for the pet parent, and it also resonates with the pet parent.
Fantastic. And I think when you were talking about the 4 types of value, with social, that comes back again to the Facebook groups, private Facebook groups that we were talking about, because Yeah, I remember on one of our other episodes, we spoke to Emily Martin from Dundee's, and, they have a VIP Dundee's group, which it provides that value in terms of like they get, offers and promotions earlier than the general public. And it's that VIP group where, everybody gets to lean on each other in terms of support for, their pets that maybe have disabilities and have, needs and wants that aren't mainstream sort of with the wider community. So I think, it just shows that different types of value. You don't have to, offer it in the same medium, I suppose. Like it doesn't have to be delivered in the same way. It could be providing it like we're doing with podcasting. It's a different way of us providing that sort of functional value in terms of marketing support, but also that community building as well, that, hey, we're all in this together, building growing businesses and, trying to give back and better the world for animals and their people. So, So I suppose personalization is something that really comes into that, things that you can build, like the practical things you can build into your business to build those meaningful relationships with pet parents, isn't it? So how would you recommend sort of like personalizing things for pet parents?
So many email marketing systems are set up to help with things like personalization. And it's something that means that you can really kind of tailor the pet parent's interaction and relationship with your brand, but not have to really kind of, I suppose, labor with each individual pet parent. You can kind of set it up so it's all automated and just completely flows depending on, how the pet parent might be segmented or kind of tagged in your system. Like Klaviyo is amazing at this, and we're a huge fan of Klaviyo for this reason, in that it can, help you to set up like an automated flow, and you just kind of let it run as soon as the pet parent is essentially entered into the system. And it means basically that you can kind of take them on different pathways depending on how they kind of respond to and interact with your brand. And it's more than just, I'm just going to plug in the first name of the person like into the newsletters. It's really about, like I said, kind of tailoring the journey that they go on with your brand. So especially with e-commerce, this is useful because you can show them products that are similar to the one that they were interested in, or, maybe they interacted with a piece of content, and then you can tailor that to kind of be like, oh, here's some more pieces of content that you might find valuable in that way. So it's something that means like you're like talking less generally. It's the difference between walking into a room and being like, I'm going to talk to everyone at the same time. And it makes it a much more intimate conversation because you know exactly kind of what that pet parent is wanting or liking or, responding to. So you can speak like directly to that. And it kind of harks back to the 3 R's that I was talking about. It means that you can be relevant, relatable, and resonate with the pet parent on a much deeper level, rather than being like, oh, I'll just chuck some stuff their way and hopefully it kind of sticks.
Some of it sticks, yeah.
Yeah. Like I hope they like some of it. If they like 10%, that's a win. And it's like, actually, no, but kind of with personalization, you can make sure that they like 80, 90, 100% of what you're communicating to them.
And I think it's, so much businesses focusing on the open rate, the click-through rate, which is really important with your email marketing, but it's also your unsubscribes. Like you want your audience to receive your emails and enjoy them, and it's making sure that they want to stay engaged with you long term. They're not just jumping on to get a promotion and then jumping off again your list. But also, the thing I love about personalizing with emails is you can collect the data on the person's pets. So you can know what dogs they have, what breed, if they have other animals as well. You can know their birth date. So you can send them their dog's birthday, you can send them a little gift or a promotion or a discount on that day. So I think it's just remembering that as somebody that's marketing to pet parents, it's not just the pet parent you want to be engaging with and showing that you care and understand, but it's also the pets. You want to show that they're just as important to you as the pet parent in the relationship. So, I love email marketing for that as well. So I know we love, working with businesses on terms of their branding and developing that brand story and getting out why they do what they do. Why did you start this business and why are you so passionate about growing it? Can you just share your thoughts on why do you think it's so important that pet brands really spend lots of time and energy on communicating their mission and their purpose and their values with their audience? How does that help them to also build meaningful relationships with pet parents?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, again, like at the beginning of this discussion, I was talking about kind of, we want to engage with pet brands that are less out for those transactional kind of relationships, and being able to kind of share your mission, even your vision, your purpose, whatever you want to call it. It's something that is just such an easy way to exactly demonstrate to pet parents that you are much more than that kind of like pop-up pet brand that is literally out just to kind of collect some dollars in. It's a way to show that you stand for something more and show them that you care beyond making that sale. And it's also something that is another easy way to ensure that like you appeal to pet parents on that very kind of personal level too, because if they see that their own values or kind of their own aspirations or something that they believe in is reflected by you as a brand, they're much more likely to kind of be drawn to you and like to resonate with you again and to want to interact with you or to get on board with your mission. Maybe they've never thought about it before, but they're like, oh, like this is amazing, I want to be part of this journey, I want to be a part of this story. And like I said, it just gives your pet brand that depth that is otherwise lacking. Once people land on your website, as we were talking about earlier, like I personally do it as well, 58% of people go straight to the About Us page, like after visiting the homepage itself. And that's something I personally do because I want to hear their voice. Like I want to know what their story is. And I want to know that they do have this, this goal or this direction beyond, just selling to me. Because in a way, like if that is the be all and end all of what you're doing, it does unfortunately have the risk of cheapening the relationship with pet parents. And as you said before, it's such an emotive space you're occupying. So being able to tap into those more kind of aspirational emotions, that is something that again can have such an impact in terms of like word of mouth, talking about it outside of, kind of like receiving a newsletter, like forwarding it to friends, forwarding it to family members. It's something that can create like a real buzz around a pet brand and something that helps you again to stand out in the industry and be seen in a completely different way.
Definitely. Yeah, I think it's so important. Like I'm the same as you. As soon as I go to a website homepage, the next step is always the About Us page. I don't know, it's just you want to connect with the person behind the brand. It's like that's what tells me what they represent, whether that's a brand that I want to, get involved with is. And I love a great startup story. I love hearing about, somebody's gone out there and come up with this idea and seen a gap in the market or decided that I need something for my pet. I can't find it, so I'm going to create it myself. That's what draws you in and that's what makes you remember the brand. So that, when you're thinking of when a friend says, oh, my dog's suffering separation anxiety or something, you've got that go-to brand that you think of that you want to refer them to. So it's just, it's so powerful, I think, sharing that brand story with your audience. So thank you so much for being on today. And, we love to just sit and chat about this stuff forever. We could spend hours and hours, but it's been great to have you on to share your point of view and your perspective with our audience. And I'm looking forward to future ones when we get to unpack other topics as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope everyone finds this conversation useful as well.
Thanks, Erin. See you later. You've been listening to the Pet Biz Project podcast, the show which helps you to build meaningful relationships with and sell more effectively to one of Australia's fastest growing consumer groups, pet parents. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and review and tell us what your key takeaway was. or what ideas you're going to go and implement into your own business. If you would like to get the show notes from today's episode or any of the links mentioned at all you need to do is head over to petbizcreatives.com/podcast. Don't forget to sign up to our newsletter as well, where we'll let you know when the next episode is released and also share additional exclusive resources with you. Thanks for listening.